In the spring of 1991, deep in the heart of Western Maryland's Allegheny Mountains, a new chapter in American railroad heritage quietly began. The Western Maryland Scenic Railroad, a new tourist railroad, began operations using vintage diesel locomotives built by the American Locomotive Company and Montreal Locomotive Works over a rugged 16-mile stretch of track between Cumberland and Frostburg, Maryland. The region, like so many others in post-industrial America, had fallen on hard times. But in the mid-1980s, a vision took root, a scenic railroad that could breathe life into a struggling economy. Central to that dream was a working steam locomotive that could recall the glory days of railroading and draw tourists to the hills once more. It was in the spring of 1989 that long-held dream stirred to life. Steam once again returned to the mountains as the Allegheny Central Railroad took to the rails. Contracted to provide service over track owned by Allegheny County, the Allegheny Central, under the guidance of the Western Maryland Scenic Railroad Development Corporation, brought with it the romance and rhythm of a bygone age. At its heart were Jack Showalter's pair of proud Canadian Pacific G5 Class 462 Pacific type locomotives. Stalwart engines that had once charged through Canadian landscapes now returned to glory amid the ridges of Western Maryland. But by the fall of 1991, that chapter quietly closed. The Allegheny Central's contract was not renewed, and the line was reborn again, this time under a new banner, the Western Maryland Scenic Railroad. By December 1991, hope was riding on an unlikely prospect, a Chinese-built SY Class 282 Mikado, one of nearly 2,000 of its kind constructed for the People's Republic between 1960 and 1999. At a cost of $370,000 and an 8-month lead time, the SY would be built to order and shipped overseas. Other railroads went in on an order of 4 locomotives, 3 SYs and 1 JS, to alleviate shipping costs. However, the WMSR's dream never came to fruition. With the loss of the SY, the search began anew. The WMSR needed something deceptively specific, powerful enough to haul full trains up a challenging grade, but nimble enough to navigate tight curves. This was especially true with the final 2 miles into Frostburg, which was constructed in the early 1850s by the Cumberland and Pennsylvania Railroad. While most of the 16-mile route boasted a relatively easy grade and wide curves, the final stretch held a 2.8% climb and 10-degree curves, rails not entirely suitable for giants. The WMSR's answer lay hundreds of miles away in Union, Illinois. Weather-beaten, pitted with rust, scarred by time and vandals, the locomotive resting at the Illinois Railway Museum was no mere relic. Beneath the fading paint and broken glass stood a machine of immense presence, locomotive number 34. Built in April 1916 for the Lake Superior and Ishpeming Railroad, she had first rolled out as number 18, one of 4 identical 280 consolidations built for the iron ore lines of Michigan's Upper Peninsula. With a 90-inch boiler, 57-inch drivers, and cylinders measuring 26 by 30 inches, these locomotives were the workhorses of the northern ore trade, clad originally in olive green and trimmed in aluminum leaf. She spent her prime years working the yard at Marquette, switching cars and braving the brutal northern winters. But time is ruthless. In 1943, number 34 suffered damage in a roundhouse blaze. Later, a weld repair, still visible on her fireman's side cylinder, would hint at another undocumented mishap. By July 1956, like so many other steam locomotives, she was retired in the march towards modernization. In 1962, she was sold, along with sisters numbers 33 and 35, to the Marquette and Huron Mountain Railroad, a short-lived tourist line. But time was unkind, and by 1971, numbers 34 and 35 were left exposed, weathering in silence until the Illinois Railway Museum gave them shelter. 34 sisters found varied fates. Number 33 wound up pulling trains in Ohio and later found a home at the Aegis Steam Roundhouse. Number 32 joined the U.S. Air Force and, in one of the strangest twists in railroad history, became a computer-operated test subject, eventually being destroyed by missiles. For number 34, though, destiny intervened. On July 4, 1992, after being towed across CSX rails, the old consolidation arrived in its new home of Cumberland, Maryland. The journey was far from over. Thousands of hours of restoration lay ahead. She would be reborn, not just mechanically, but aesthetically. A new tender sourced from a 1918-built New York Central 482 Mohawk gave her the capacity to run longer and harder. With a new number, 734, she also took on a new identity. Though not a direct replica of any single class, 734 now resembled the consolidations once rostered by the Western Maryland Railway, the H7s, H8s, and H9s. Her feed water heater was removed, a cross-compound air pump took its place, a new cab was installed. She was, once again, a steam locomotive with purpose. By August 1993, she returned to life, with a new operating boiler pressure of 200 pounds per square inch. 734 was now capable of producing upwards of 65,000 plus pounds of tractive effort, or roughly 3,500 horsepower. After testing, 734 began pulling revenue trains, but not before being weighed at CSX's Cumberland Terminal, where she tipped the scales at a staggering 517,000 pounds, or 257 tons, earning her the title of the world's largest operating consolidation-type locomotive. She soon earned a nickname. The people called her Mountain Thunder, and thunder she did. appearing on the History Channel, National Geographic, and even in a 1998 Pontiac, Montana minivan commercial. She also held questions on Jeopardy! And was a fixture in celebrations, photos, and the dreams of a new generation of rail fans. For 23 years, 734 carried passengers on a trip through time, up the mountain and back again, through the same hills and hollows that had echoed with the sounds of steam for nearly a century. But time again caught up. On April 10, 2016, just shy of her 100th birthday, her fire was dropped for the final time. The FRA-mandated 1,472-day inspection marked the end of an era. Though number 1309, a massive 1949 Baldwin-built 2662, now bears the steam mantle for the Western Maryland Scenic Railroad, many say she lacks the soul of Mountain Thunder. Because 734 was never just an engine. She was a survivor of war, of neglect, of obsolescence. She is a bridge between generations, between the past and the future. From the docks of Lake Superior to the hills of Maryland, her journey is a story of muscle and memory, of faded paint and hard-earned glory. A story not yet finished. A story waiting still for its next chapter.